You've heard it a million times, right? It's just like riding a bike. It means you can't forget it, that it's locked in your muscle memory forever. But what if I told you that a kind of weird backwards bike could blow that whole idea out of the water? Well, we're going to break down a really cool experiment that does more than just challenge an old saying. It gives us a completely new playbook for how we should be coaching our athletes. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at this bike and why it just breaks everybody's brain. Then, we'll get into how the scientists ran the experiment and what the, and I mean this, absolutely wild results tell us about learning. And maybe even more importantly, unlearning. After that, we'll hit the chalkboard to figure out the why behind all this, and then we'll wrap it up with a practice plan you can literally use tomorrow. All right, section 1, the weird bike problem. So, the puzzle here is pretty simple. We can all ride a bike, right? It's totally automatic. You don't even have to think about it. So why does one tiny, simple change, just reversing the steering, make it completely impossible for pretty much everyone? And this right here, this is the whole thing. The scientists straight up told the riders the new rule. Hey, when you want to go right, turn the handlebars left. Simple. Everybody understood the instruction. But the second they hopped on that bike, chaos. Complete failure. Their brain knew the rule, but their body just refused to listen. And that tells you something way deeper is running the show here, something beyond just conscious thought. Think about it like this. Riding a normal bike is like your best player's jumper. They're not thinking about their elbow being tucked or their wrist flick. They just shoot. Their body just knows. Now the reverse bike, that's like telling that same player they have to shoot the game-winning free throw, but with their offhand. And blindfolded. Their body just freaks out because the automatic program that's been running perfectly for years is suddenly totally wrong. So to figure out what in the world is going on inside the brain, the scientists basically set up a multi-day practice camp. They wanted to watch in real time how a person could possibly learn this impossible new skill right from scratch. So here's how the drill went down. For 8 days straight, these folks got just 10 minutes of practice a day on the backwards bike. That's it. They were tested before and after every session to see how far they could go. But here's the kicker. On day 5, and then again on day 9, the scientists ambushed them with the normal bike. They wanted to see what all this new, awkward practice was doing to their old, perfect skill. Now, the players in this whole thing were 20 college kids who hadn't ridden a bike in at least a year. And, just like on any team you've ever coached, they pretty quickly sorted themselves into 3 groups. You had your fast learners, who started getting it, your moderate learners, kind of in the middle, and then your slow learners. The ones who just kept falling over. We've all seen them. And boom, right there is our first big coaching takeaway. The second you install a new offense or teach a new defensive slide, you're going to see these 3 groups pop up. It's not that your slow learners aren't trying hard enough. Their brains are just wired to process it differently, and that is perfectly okay. Just recognizing that is half the battle. So what did the results actually look like? Well, what they found was that learning this new skill isn't a straight line up, not at all. It's this weird S-shaped curve of just complete failure, then this sudden aha moment, and only then do you see that quick improvement. And this timeline shows that S-curve perfectly. I mean, look at day 1. It was a total disaster. The average distance was like 5 feet before they fell over. For days, it looked like they were making absolutely zero progress. Then, right around day 4, something just clicks, and almost overnight, they go from falling down to riding the full 20 meters. See? It's not gradual. It's a long, flat line of failure followed by a huge jump. Okay, section 4, and listen, this is probably the most mind-blowing discovery from the whole study. Learning the new skill, it didn't just add to their toolbox, it actively broke the old automatic skill they'd had their entire lives. The fancy science term for this is interference. But as coaches, we know this. We call it the messy middle. It's what happens when you decide to fix a player's shooting form. For 2 solid weeks, that kid can't hit anything. Their old shot is gone, the new one isn't there yet, and everyone's frustrated. Their brain's wiring is literally getting crossed. So check this out. Let's follow one of the slow learners. On day 5, the scientists put this person back on a totally normal bike. After maybe one little wobble, they were off, riding the full 20 meters. No problem at all. But then, 4 days later, after even more practice on that backwards bike, a skill they still hadn't figured out, by the way, they put him back on the normal bike again. This time, It took them 11 tries to get it right. Let that sink in. The more they practiced the new thing they were bad at, the worse they got at the old thing they were perfect at. They had, no joke, forgotten how to ride a normal bike. And this is the part that is just so critical. The process of trying to learn something new started by destroying the old skill. This even happened to the riders who never got good at the new bike. Their progress wasn't zero, it was negative. They actually left practice worse at a fundamental skill than when they walked in. As a coach, this changes everything. That player whose shot you're tweaking, they're not getting worse because they aren't listening or they're not trying. Their brain is actively breaking down the old motor pattern to make room for the new one. You, the coach, have to be patient and guide them through that ugly, messy, frustrating middle phase. It's a non-negotiable part of the process. Okay, let's head to the chalkboard for a second. Why does this happen, right? Why do you have to get worse before you can get better? The theory behind this is awesome, and it explains so much of the stuff we see happen in the gym every single day. So the theory goes that there are actually two types of learning going on at the same time. The first one is called latent learning. Just think of this as your brain figuring out which playbook to open. Is this a normal bike situation or a weird bike situation? Then you have proper learning, which is actually running the play, turning the handlebars the right way. But here's the thing. You can't run the play until your brain has opened the right playbook. And that's the whole ball game. Early on, that normal bike playbook is just so strong, so automatic, that the brain can't even find the new one. So the only way to learn the new skill is to first weaken the connection to the old one. That unlearning phase, that dip in performance we see, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's your brain literally clearing the deck to make room for a new set of instructions. All right, final huddle, let's bring it all home. What does this experiment with the weird bike actually mean for you and your clipboard at your very next practice? Here are the 3 big lessons. First, expect the S-curve. Your players are going to struggle. They're going to look lost for a bit. Don't get frustrated by that flat line at the beginning. Just coach him through it, because the breakthrough is coming. Second, you have to embrace the performance dip. That star player who suddenly can't make a layup after you change their footwork, it's normal. That's the unlearning phase, live and in person. And finally, remember that context is everything. If a player is struggling, maybe it's not the skill itself. Maybe their brain is just stuck on the wrong page of the playbook. Change the drill, change your cues, and help them switch gears. So in the end, the goal isn't just to add new skills like we're installing a software update. It's about teaching our players how to recognize different situations and instantly pull up the right playbook, the right motor program without even thinking about it. Because that's what makes a player and a team truly great.